Have you ever wondered if somewhere, hidden beneath the sands of time, there once existed a garden so beautiful, so serene, that it became known as one of the greatest wonders the world has ever known? A garden, not of simple flowers, but a towering paradise of terraces and waterfalls, where cool streams wandered through hanging vines, and every breath carried the soft perfume of blossoms. A place where the harsh desert heat vanished, replaced by the gentle hush of flowing water and the quiet rustle of leaves. This is the legend of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. We'll wander through this ancient oasis, imagining its shaded pathways, its hidden alcoves, and its tranquil pools. We'll explore the story of a king's devotion, the marvels of ancient engineering, and the peaceful traditions of a world long gone. So, take a deep breath, allow yourself to drift, as we journey back in time to a place of calm, wonder, and timeless beauty. Let us begin. There is an old tale, whispered through the ages, of a garden that once floated like a dream above the sands of the desert, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. A place where the air was thick with the scent of blossoms, where cool water flowed endlessly over terraces of green, and where every leaf seemed to shimmer in the golden sun. It is said that this garden stood within the mighty city of Babylon, a city of grand towers, broad avenues, and mighty walls, nestled along the winding Euphrates River. In a land where the earth was dry and the summers blazed with heat, this garden was an oasis, a place of cool shade and soft winds, a refuge from the harshness of the world outside. Those centuries have passed, and Babylon itself has long since crumbled into the sands. The story of the Hanging Gardens still lingers, carried gently by time. The tale begins with longing. It is said that a great King Nebuchadnezzar II once ruled over Babylon. His empire stretched far, and his city was adorned with wonders. Yet, for all his wealth and power, the king's heart was drawn to something simpler, something softer. His beloved queen, it is told, came from a distant land of mountains and forests, a place where green hills rolled beneath the sky and rivers tumbled through valleys filled with trees. But here, in Babylon, the air was dry, the earth parched and bare, and so, to ease her longing for her homeland, the king is said to have ordered the creation of a garden like no other, a garden that would rise like a mountain within the city itself. It would be a place where waterfalls would dance down stone walls, where terraces would bloom with flowers and vines, where trees would sway gently, offering cool shelter beneath their branches. The garden would not simply sit upon the earth. It would be raised high above, built upon great stone platforms, stacked one atop the other like steps leading toward the sky. From afar, it would seem as though the garden floated in the air itself. This was the vision. Skilled builders and artisans were summoned. Stones were shaped and placed with care. Deep within the garden's heart, engineers crafted a marvelous system of hidden channels and lifts to bring water from the river below, carrying it upwards to nourish every plant and tree. It is said that the waters trickled softly, flowing from terrace to terrace, never ceasing. The walls became draped in ivy and flowering vines. Fruit trees flourished, their branches heavy with figs, pomegranates, and dates. Fragrant blooms swayed in the breeze, filling the garden with scents of jasmine, myrtle, and lilies. In the shade of olive trees, it is said, people would sit in quiet contemplation, listening to the soft murmur of water and the rustle of leaves overhead. There were pathways for strolling, alcoves for resting, and open spaces where the stars could be seen at night, twinkling through the leaves. In this place, time seemed to slow. The city outside grew quiet. The cares of the world drifted away. Here, within the garden's embrace, peace could be found, though no trace of the Hanging Gardens remains today, and whether they truly existed as described is still a mystery. Their legend endures, wrapped in wonder and imagination. Some believe they were merely a story, woven from dreams of distant lands. Others searched the ancient ruins, hoping to find some hidden corner where the garden once stood. But perhaps the truth of the Hanging Gardens is not in stones or records, but in the feeling the story evokes. A place of calm amid the desert, a refuge of shade and water, a reminder that even in the harshest places there can be beauty and peace. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon remain one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, not because they were grand, but because they symbolize something deeply human, the longing for serenity, for comfort, and for the quiet healing power of nature. Whether they were ever real or simply a beautiful tale, they continue to invite us to imagine, to dream, and to remember the gentle places we carry in our hearts. To truly understand the tale of the Hanging Gardens, we must step softly into the life of the king at the heart of its legend. Nebuchadnezzar II, a name that still echoes through history. He was a ruler of great ambition, a king whose reign shaped one of the most powerful cities of the ancient world, Babylon. It is said that Nebuchadnezzar ruled with both strength and vision. He fortified the city's walls, crafted towering temples, and raised the magnificent Ishtar Gate, shimmering in deep blue tiles, adorned with golden lions and dragons. Babylon became a city of splendor under his hand, a jewel along the Euphrates River. But amidst all his grand conquests, there is a quieter story, one of love and longing. Nebuchadnezzar's queen, it is told, came from a distant, mountainous land. Her home had been a place of cool breezes, green hills, and cascading rivers, far from the dry plains of Babylon. Though the city was mighty, its air was thick with desert heat, its landscape flat and sun-baked. The queen missed the soft shade of trees, the scent of flowers, the sound of streams trickling over stones. Her heart longed for the comforts of her homeland, and so Nebuchadnezzar, wishing to ease her sorrow, is said to have made a promise. He would bring the mountains to her. He would create a garden so lush, so filled with life, that she would feel once more as though she walked among her native hills. This was not simply a gift of beauty. It was a gesture of love, a way to offer peace and comfort to one he cherished. And so the work began. The king's architects and engineers were called upon to design a wonder unlike anything the world had seen. Stone by stone, terrace by terrace, they built a mountain within the heart of the city. It is said that they crafted great platforms, each one rising above the other, creating layers of green that stretched toward the sky. Through hidden channels, water was lifted from the Euphrates below, carried upwards to nourish every leaf and blossom. Palms, figs, and pomegranates flourished. Vines draped gracefully over stone walls. Fragrant herbs filled the air with soft sweetness. And at the center of it all was the queen. She would wander the shaded paths, resting beneath the trees, her heart eased by the familiar sights and sounds of home. In this garden, the harsh world outside melted away. There was only calm. Though we cannot say with certainty that the Hanging Gardens were real, the story of Nebuchadnezzar and his queen has endured, passed down through generations. Perhaps it is because we recognize something timeless within it. The desire to bring comfort to another, the longing to create a place of peace, the hope that beauty can ease even the deepest homes. Nebuchadnezzar remains a towering figure in history, known for his conquests, his monuments, and his legacy. But here, in the soft quiet of this story, we remember him not for his power, but for this gentler act, the creation of a garden to soothe the heart. And so, The legend of the Hanging Gardens begins not with conquest or glory, but with love. As we continue to wander through the legend of the Hanging Gardens, we turn now to the quiet marvels that made such a place possible. The land of Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, was a place where life itself depended upon the flow of water. Nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, this ancient region flourished because of its people's skill with the earth and with water. In a land of dry soil and harsh sun, the Mesopotamians became masters of irrigation. They shaped the rivers with great care, digging canals that stretched like veins across the countryside, guiding the water to where it was most needed. Along these canals, they built small dikes and sluice gates, devices that allowed them to open and close the flow of water, bringing life to fields of barley, wheat, and date. It was a quiet kind of magic, the slow, steady art of coaxing green from desert ground. In the stillness of the early mornings, workers would walk the canal paths, listening to the soft sound of water trickling through channels carved by hand. They would watch as the rivers rose with the seasons, and they would know exactly when to divert the waters to nurture the fields. This knowledge was passed down through generations, an inheritance of wisdom, carefully preserved. It is within this ancient tradition, this harmony between people and water, that the Hanging Gardens are said to have been born. To build a garden that rose into the air, to create terraces filled with trees and flowers high above the ground, would have required more than beauty alone. It would have required quiet ingenuity and deep understanding. Many believe that the gardens, if they did exist, relied on a sophisticated system to lift water from the Euphrates below, raising it to the upper terraces where it could flow gently downward. Some speak of chain pumps, simple yet effective devices powered by hand or by beasts of burden, where a continuous loop of buckets would dip into the river and carry water upwards. Others imagine a hidden spiral staircase, where water was carried slowly up the steps in vessels, then poured into channels that crisscrossed the terraces. Once lifted, the water would have been released carefully, cascading down through carved stone paths, flowing from one garden level to the next, soaking the soil and feeding every root. In such a system, the water itself would have become part of the garden's beauty. Visitors would hear its soft murmur as it wandered downward, a soothing sound that would echo through the terraces like music. And as the sun warmed the garden walls, the moisture rising from the pools and plants would have cooled the air, creating a gentle breeze that carried the scent of blossoms through the shaded paths. It is easy to imagine the sense of calm that such a place would bring. Not only a marvel of stone and engineering, but a living, breathing oasis, shaped by the ancient arts of irrigation and gardening. In this way, the Hanging Gardens, whether legend or truth, remain a symbol of harmony, the joining of earth and water, the blending of beauty and wisdom, a reminder of how even the simplest tools, placed in caring hands, can create something timeless. As we stroll deeper into the heart of ancient Babylon, beyond the towering gardens and flowing waters, we begin to sense the gentler rhythms of daily life in this fabled city. For Babylon, though known for its grandeur, was also a place of quiet beauty, where simple joys and peaceful moments wove softly through the lives of its people. In the cool of the evening, when the sun dipped low beyond the city walls, families would gather within their homes, crafted from mud bricks that kept the heat at bay. Inside, the air would grow soft and still, lit by the warm glow of flickering lamps. And in these quiet spaces, poetry would often fill the air. The people of Babylon cherished words, both spoken and written. Scribes carefully etched poems onto clay tablets, preserving verses that spoke of love, nature, and the mysteries of life, these poems often reflected the beauty of the world around them. Verses about the flowing rivers, the whisper of wind through palm trees, and the delicate dance of the stars across the night sky. In these ancient lines, we hear a longing for peace, a deep appreciation for the fleeting moments of beauty that softened their days. Music, too, played a gentle role in Babylonian life. Simple instruments crafted by hand, small lyres, flutes, and drums, filled the air with soft, lilting melodies. Musicians would sit by the river's edge or within temple courtyards, letting their songs drift into the evening breeze. These were melodies meant not for grand performances, but for quiet reflection. Songs that soothed the heart, that told stories of the past, that celebrated the turning of seasons and the small comforts of home. In the marketplaces, the scent of spices and incense mingled with laughter and quiet conversation. People bartered for dates and honey, fine fabrics and fragrant oils. Artisans worked with steady hands, carving, weaving, and shaping simple objects of beauty from clay and wood. Even the act of preparing food held its own kind of calm. The soft grinding of grain, the slow simmering of stews, flavored with herbs from kitchen gardens. Each small task, each daily ritual, became part of a greater rhythm. A quiet reminder that peace was not only found in grand palaces or legendary gardens, but also in the humble acts of daily life. In the sharing of a meal, in the soft strumming of a lyre, in the verses whispered by firelight. Babylon, a city often remembered for its towering walls and mighty kings, was also a city of simple moments, of music, of poetry, of stillness, a place where, even amid the bustle of trade and the hum of civilization, there existed small, sacred spaces of calm, moments that connected people, not through power or wealth, but through the timeless human longing for beauty, comfort, and peace. As we continue our quiet journey through the story of the Hanging Gardens, we find ourselves standing at the edge of mystery. For as captivating as the tale may be, there is still a soft question that lingers in the air. Did the gardens truly exist, or are they simply a beautiful legend, a dream passed down through centuries? Throughout history, many have searched for the answer. Ancient writers described the gardens in vivid detail, their words painting images of soaring terraces, cascading waters, and lush greenery that defied the surrounding desert. But the further we travel back in time, the more these descriptions seem to blur, becoming harder to trace to a clear source. Some believe that the stories may have been told by travelers and visitors, tales woven from distant memories and second-hand accounts. Others suggest that the Hanging Gardens may not have stood in Babylon at all. Some scholars now wonder if they may have existed far to the north, in the Assyrian city of Nineveh. There, two great kings built grand palaces, and inscriptions describe magnificent gardens with advanced irrigation systems. In the ruins of Nineveh, archaeologists have uncovered remarkable canals and carefully designed to carry water across long distances, feeding gardens that once bloomed within the palace walls. Could it be that the gardens of Nineveh became blended with the myths of Babylon over time, their stories woven together into one? It is a quiet mystery, one that may never be fully solved. Even in Babylon itself, no clear trace of the Hanging Gardens has been found. The mighty city now lies buried beneath layers of earth, its stones worn down by wind and time. Archaeologists have uncovered walls, temples, and ancient streets, but no definitive remains of the great gardens have emerged. And yet, the story endures. Perhaps that, too, is part of its beauty. For there is something gently comforting in the idea that some mysteries remain untouched, that some stories are meant to drift softly through time, untethered to proof or certainty. The hanging gardens, whether real or imagined, have become more than just a place. They have become a symbol of hope, of peace, of the timeless human desire to create beauty in unlikely places. And perhaps that is where their true power lies, in the quiet spaces between history and legend, in the way their story invites us to imagine, to dream, and to believe in the possibility of hidden wonders. Whether or not we ever find their stones, we can still visit them in the soft corners of the mind, where lush terraces rise beneath blue skies and the air is filled with the sound of flowing water. As we near the end of our gentle journey, we find that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon are not alone in their story of calm and beauty. Throughout history, across many distant lands, people have sought to create gardens that offered peace, reflection, and a quiet refuge from the world beyond their walls. In the heart of ancient Persia, there blossomed the tradition of the walled garden. The word itself, paradis, would later give rise to the term paradise. These Persian gardens were carefully designed to be oases of tranquility, places where the natural world was shaped with great intention. Within their walls, water played a central role. Fountains and channels divided the gardens into sections, often arranged in perfect symmetry, symbolizing harmony and balance. The gentle murmur of flowing water drifted through the air, bringing coolness to the warm, dry winds. Fruit trees offered shade and nourishment, their branches heavy with figs, pomegranates, and apricots. Flowers blossomed in abundance, their colors bright and soft against the green leaves. These gardens were more than places of beauty. They were reflections of a greater peace, designed to represent the order of the universe itself. Visitors would wander their paths slowly, pausing to breathe deeply, to listen to the wind, to admire the stillness of the pools. Farther west, along the Nile River, the ancient Egyptians also tended their gardens with quiet devotion. Temple gardens were planted with fragrant lotuses, papyrus reeds, and date palms. These sacred spaces were carefully arranged, each plant chosen for its symbolism and beauty. In Egyptian homes, small courtyard gardens offered a private escape. In the cool shade of sycamores, families would sit together, enjoying the scent of myrrh and jasmine carried on the breeze. Within these gardens, fish ponds glimmered under the sun, their still waters reflecting the blue of the sky above. Every detail, from the placement of the trees to the flow of water, was chosen with care, creating an atmosphere of peace and serenity. Across these distant lands, from Babylon to Persia, from the lush riverbanks of Egypt to the terraced hillsides of Nineveh, a common thread weaves quietly through history. The garden has a place of calm, a space where the worries of the outside world could be set down, where the soul could find rest. These ancient gardens, whether real or legendary, remind us of something universal, that no matter the time or place, people have always sought to bring beauty into their lives, to shape the land into something gentle, to create quiet corners where nature and human care meet in harmony. And so, whether wandering through the cool corridors of a Persian garden, seated beside the still waters of an Egyptian pool, or imagining the terraces of the Hanging Gardens rising into the sky, we are reminded of the timeless power of these places, not only as wonders of engineering or design, but as sanctuaries of peace, refuges for the heart, and quiet homes for the spirit. And now, as we take one final, slow step through the shaded paths of this story, we let the legend of the Hanging Gardens drift gently into the distance. Whether they stood as towering terraces of stone and green, or simply as a dream whispered across time, their story continues to offer us something rare and precious. a reminder that peace can be found, even in the most unexpected places, in the soft curve of a leaf, in the quiet trickle of water, in the simple wish to bring beauty and comfort to others. Though centuries have passed, though empires have risen and fallen, this longing remains the same. The gardens may be lost to the sands of time, but their spirit lives on. Wherever we create spaces for calm, wherever we tend to something with care, wherever we pause to breathe deeply and simply. Thank you for sharing this quiet journey with me. If this story brought you a sense of peace, I invite you to gently support this space by liking this video, subscribing for more calm, reflective stories, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Your presence here and your kindness help this little corner of stillness grow. Until we meet again, may your days be filled with moments of quiet beauty, and may you always find your own hidden garden of calm,